What if I told you that the cost of living in different countries is not as simple as comparing exchange rates? That's right. There is more to it than just at how much your money is worth in another currency. In this video, I will introduce you to a concept called Purchasing Power Parity, or PPP for short. And I will also debunk some common myths related to PPP. A purchasing power parity is a way of measuring how much you can actually buy in your money in different countries, taking into account differences in prices and inflation. Sounds complicated? Don't worry. I will show you how it works with a simple example, the Big Mac. Probably know what a Big Mac is, right? It's a popular burger sold by McDonald's all over the world. It's delicious, but how much does it cost? Well, that depends where you live. According to the Big Mac Index, which tracks the prices of Big Macs in different countries, the average price of a Big Mac in a UK in 2023 was £4.5 or about $6. But in India, the average price of a Big Mac was only £2 or almost $2.82. That's a huge difference. But does that mean that the Indian rupees is undervalued compared to the British pounds? Not necessarily. The PPP tells us that we should also consider the cost of living in different countries, which affects the price of goods and services. For example, the average income of an individual in India is much lower than in the UK. So the price of the Big Mac and other things have to be lower to make them affordable for the consumers. Purchase power parity tries to adjust these differences by finding the exchange rate that would make the price of a Big Mac or in any other baskets of goods the same in both countries. This is called the PPP exchange rate. How do we find the PPP exchange rate? Well, we can use a simple formula. A PPP exchange rate is equals to the price of a commodity in a country A divided by the price of a commodity in the country B. Using this prices of the Big Mac index, we can calculate PPP exchange rate between the UK and India is as follows. For Big Mac, it is 4.44 divided by 2.05, which is 2.17. This means 1 British pound should be able to buy 2.717 Indian rupees according to the PPP. But what is the actual exchange rate between the two currencies? According to the World Bank, the average exchange rate in 2023 was 1 GBP equals to 104 INR. That's a lot higher than the PPP exchange rate. That means the British pound is overvalued or too strong compared to the Indian rupees, according to PPP. In other words, the Britain pound can buy more in India than it can in UK. And the Indian rupees can buy less in UK than it can in India. Why does this happen? Well, there are many factors that affect the exchange rates between currencies, such as supply and demand, interest rates, inflation, trade, and politics. PPP is just one of them, and it's not always accurate or realistic. For example, PPP assumes that there is no trade barriers, transportation cost, or taxes that affects the price of goods and services. It also assumes that the consumer have the same preferences and taste across the countries, which is not always true. For example, some people may prefer chicken burger over fish burger or vegetarian burger over meat burgers depending on their culture, religion or health. These factors can make the price of Big Mac vary across countries even after adjusting for the PPP. Another example of how PPP can differ from reality is rent. Rent is one of the biggest expense for most people, and it can vary a lot depending on the location, size, and quality of the property. According to the web search, the average rental cost in UK in 2023 was record high as £1,000 a month. The average is slightly more than on high side due to the high rents in the few places like London. So if you consider only the average, you will not get an idea of rents all over the UK. The rent depends on the type of household or the number of people living. But in India, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in a city was only £156 for a month. That's a huge difference. Even if we use the PPP exchange rate to convert the Indian rand to British pounds, we get 338 pounds a month, which is still much lower than the average UK rent. This means the rent is much cheaper in India than in UK, and the PPP exchange rate does not reflect these differences. So the PPP is not a perfect measure of the value of currencies, but it is still a useful and interesting tool for comparing the purchasing power of a different countries. It can help us understand how far our money can go in different places and how much cost of living affects the prices of goods and services. It can also help us spot potential opportunities or risk of investing, trading and traveling in different countries. And of course, it can help us decide where to get the best deal for the Big Mac. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about PPP. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share with your friends and subscribe to the channel for more economic videos. And don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you think about PPP and Big Mac. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next time.